they talk about positive participation in governance na salon and National Commission for Democracy. That's also we they talk about within our province, National Commission for Democracy. The organization waiting up for itself. This commission then began in 1994 for good salon before from good government and democracy. The National Commission for Democracy, they promote contact and development. They promote democracy. They do it by civic education. We help you for know you right as salon person and waiting to be around you. Advocacy and research. They work with local and international organizations. The National Commission for Democracy, in mission, now to tell people them about peace. We must about right them. And now we will live in a society where we all equal. We say all man gets power to enjoy immortal man rights. And then we'll talk about the business for what? We're going to push the country go before. This commission, waiting not for himself, is strong. He gives himself for work with other people then. So that they go.
That's really welcome to this edition of the Good Governance Program, NCD HOUR, where they come to you courtesy of the National Commission for Democracy. Today, Saturday 26th September 2020, they discuss a very important topic where it gets to do with peace and democracy. The topic will be the relationship between peace and democracy. As we all say, we just celebrate the International Day of Democracy. We fall on September 15, and also the International Day of Peace. We fall on the 21st September 2020. So all this week, for this whole week, we celebrate then two important events here also, because we all aware of the fact that then days there also the United Nations put them aside for remind citizens of the world, and specifically, to be specific, we talk about million citizens, about the importance of democracy and what we need to do for promoting democracy, and the importance of peace and what we also do to make sure say we peace all water in the country. For help me talk about this, get versatile personalities in the studio. We go help the discussion. With me in the studio, I get the Public Relations and Communications Director for the National Commission for Democracy, when Reverend Jibrila Kagbo. Reverend, say hello to Fambulu.
Fambulu Mauduo.
Okay. My second guest, or the other panelists, will join me soon, and when they come, I will introduce them to you. As I say, we talk about peace and democracy. We look at the nexus, the relationship. But before we begin for talk about that, so we'll go proper into the discussions. I'll make just give now an update of what's in the commission then they do this week. As I said earlier, the commission, they celebrate this important event we then call International Day of Democracy. In fact, for this whole month, now the things that we've been focused on, yesterday, the commission held virtually roundtable discussions across the country in all the regions. We all one at the south, we all one at the west, we all one at the headquarters here, where Udin. And the discussions been really very interesting, and the discussions we are here live. So people are not just the one where they invite benefit from that discussion day. And the people themselves who they listen to radio be really benefit from that, and the discussions and deliberations then be really very important. So we really try for push. They will go before for see how much we will raise awareness between and among Sierra Leoneans, so that we all will contribute immensely for make sure say with democracy all water, and for also make sure the peace where we all want in this country we get them. Now I will come back to my guest with Reverend Jibrila Kagbo for make a giveaway input for the week. Reverend.
Thank you very much. Well, we all know what's in the buzz right now. I think on Thursday, we read the statements where the president made concerning the outcome of the commissions of inquiry with the white paper But with the kind atmosphere where they prevail, I want to focus me at my current affairs on quoting a section of the Constitution for the attention of the general public and all stakeholders, make we know how we dey guide the entire process so that it will be for the benefit of every Sierra Leonean. I focus attention on particularly section 49 in the Constitution of Sierra Leone, when Act number 6 of 1991. Section 49 subsection 1 say, the COI shall A. make a full, faithful and an impartial inquiry into any matter specified in the Commission of Appointment. B. report in writing the result of the inquiry. And C. furnish in the repost the reasons leading to the conclusions arrived at or reported. But then we'll go to subsection 2. It say, the President shall, subject to the provisions of subsection 4, which will be read later, cause to be published the report of a COI together with the white paper thereon within 6 months of the date of the submission of the report by the Commission. Subsection 3 says, where the report of a COI is not to be published, the President shall issue a statement to that effect, giving reasons why the report is not to be published. Okay. And subsection 4 says, where a Commission of Inquiry makes an adverse finding against any person which may result in a penalty, forfeiture or loss of status, the report of the Commission of Inquiry shall, for the purpose of this Constitution, be deemed to be a judgment of the High Court of Justice, and accordingly an appeal shall lie as of right from the Commission to the Court of Appeal. This 9 day inside section 149 with 4 subsections, and we don't read the responses here and there, reactions or responses to the statement of the President in the State House recently about the white paper. And for me, as I use this as current affairs, they appeal to every Sierra Leonean and say, members say, the Constitution tell we exactly how everything will happen. May we follow the due process and make we ensure say we maintain the peace in our country.
Thank you very much for that pick. I feel say you don't do justice to that, because one of the primary mandates of the Commission now for raise awareness, in the provisions of the Constitution. So if something like this come up, really very important, and we get a program and we try to raise those issues, I feel it's really very important. When presidents believe in making statements, one thing we see that one of the things we need to look at that this thing is important, but also for those who are currently serving. So if you say no, you follow the due process, at least I feel like it will be in the interest of everybody, the one the way they serve now and the one the way we don't serve. Because this will be a precedent and this will be an example. And if I know for the set example, make it listen an example where everybody will be able to appreciate or will help this country. Thank you very much, Reverend, for that pick. We go proper to the discussions, Reverend. We look at peace and we look at democracy. We try to see what are the nexus. We try to see what are the relationship, how they connect, because these are two very important concepts, Reverend. You will just write for left farm will know. Well, let me start with peace. Left farm will know exactly what's in a peace.
Well, different approach than they to this thing we call peace, and different schools of thought they wouldn't register what's in and consider as peace. But we look at them from the atmosphere or the absence of chaos. Now, so that from that perspective, man, for look at peace. Some people would say it's not comprehensive, but if me and you there, will not allow any tension for affect the relationship, how they relate, we go simply say peace day.
Okay.
But you can also define something from the opposite. when we get a situation of, say, chaos, violence, like the time we will descend into a bloody war of about 11 years, we go talk, say, peace not been there in our country that particular time day. Not to say people are not really alive, they're alive, but something they go on will affect the smooth flow of life. So when you look at peace from the opposite perspective, that is what is the situation. Outside, life not normal, everything they upside down. But in the situation of peace, are the opposite of that. You want for live in a society where peaceful, all man go about in normal business, fets no day, alala no day, people they do something within the ambit of the law. Me want for look at peace from the perspective of the implementation of the laws of the land. Inside everybody they go about in normal business based on what the law say. For me, now so we look at peace.
Okay. You say you say from your own perspective, you look at the atmosphere. You say like the absence of tension, but most times, tension I think is sometimes very much inevitable in a society because you find out say even if they discuss from which we achieve something, sometimes you must get that kind of tension because the disagreement is until at a point when I will reach at something, and you also how you class that one?
Well, the one that we don't do peace and conflict study, then they make a distinction between positive and negative peace.
Okay.
Of course, it's challenging for actually get completely complete positive peace. So you can there in an atmosphere outside, the guns are silent, kuskas not there, but you still get what you call negative peace because somebody don't even say in fact, peace not to the absence of war. When not even get war, then the peace is still challenged. So when we look at the situation from especially the perspective of negative peace, you go see say some amount of tension there around. But you go look at waiting at the cause of the tension. What you want to achieve. Because in a context where you get competition, you can get tendency for make we peace be affected somehow. But at the end of the day, the appeal will always be whatever na the competition, we want to just say such a competition does not affect the overall peace of the country.
Okay.
And there are so many things where you want for put together what you call a peace index. Several variables and way they consider. But essentially now how it possible for a person move from one place to the other and not get disrupted or get affected, people know the fear. Competition can be, but it is still not done in an atmosphere of rancor and say resentment. All man they go about in business because Siraju Day now one aspect, Mr. Williams in another area. They all they ask for support. You can get that attention there. But as long as it is done within the ambit of the law, I don't think it's a problem because in the context of let's say the governance of the state, you get their opposing views then they, but one foresee in situations where such opposing views are expressed within the context of the law. So if we get such kind of competition, I go still able to move from Freetown to Bomi at no court. I go still able to move from Kailaun to Makeni me at no court. So now that kind of atmosphere they want to create, where in the physical, even say even on online cyber, the cyberspace, we want to create that atmosphere outside. There is peace and quiet. There is calm. People express them views, even if it's a negative view, then they still express them within the context of the law. That's the kind of atmosphere we want to see. And now we will say peace in our country. But in a situation inside, people not able to express themselves freely. For instance, people not able to enjoy their rights where the Constitution give them. You can begin to question the kind of peace where they. Where if person, they afraid, for instance, like I can't ask you so if one person afraid for expressing view, he said then go arrest me in next moment, then they put question mark on the peace. But also able for calm. As long as I talk within the law, nobody no bother me, then I go say I dey enjoy some kind of, call it relative peace. Because peace again, na a relative term, because we can see how they assess country them. You can go look at one country, then say no, we'll put you number one. Other country, they say we'll put you number two, based on certain parameters.
Okay. You talk about positive and negative peace. You also talk about competition, but you try to emphasize on healthy competition.
Yes, within the context of the law, the ambit of the law.
Yes. You also talk say doing things within the ambit of the law. Maybe we'll get all them things there also. We get that kind relative peace we really the yearn for as a country. Because honestly, you know, the society we they get competition.
Definitely.
So definitely, boss gets, because when you look at them, people and play games that then fill stadiums and other places, you must see the competition in terms, but at least people matured enough now for like say yes, somebody just gets for win, and when the possible just gets fall over. I mean, understand. Make a welcome barrister Charlie Williams at the studio. Instead of just they come. Barrister, say hello to Famulem.
Good afternoon.
And in fact, I ask that you pick one thing and they didn't rest much.
Okay, thank you so much. Well, you know, the last time I say I will reserve me pick until at least Anti-Corruption Commission say something, but that race case. So far, based on my knowledge, I don't think the Anti-Corruption don't respond yet. Because as far as me know, you know, when Anti-Corruption indicts people, they see that statement be signed, now the letterhead, and say, we don't indict so person or people for so offense. Who say they don't get settlements and we say we don't recover this, that. So for me, I think saying that kind of notice, I ain't gonna make we able satisfy for no say yes, Anti-Corruption don't respond. I just take call on the attention, continue for call on the attention of Anti-Corruption Commission. Let them tell we, the people of Sierra Leone, waiting now the position on the rest for free education case. Case done. Just one for move on to other things. Let them just clarify that issue there. Whether that case they don't done, they don't forget about time. Because the people that them be indicted self they work now. So let them just tell we waiting they happen so that we put the cutting down on that particular issue. I think say that will give me pick back for TV.
Okay, thank you very much. I know as an activist you get a matter, you get an issue if you say you still need clarification, you still ask for clarification. I believe say maybe the ACC self go they watch the program, or they will get staff that will watch the program. We then go bring and come to the attention of the ACC, they self go like come out with a press release and tell them we will address that. I know Reverend, you have to say something.
Yeah, very interesting pick from Barrister. I want for situate even as within the context of the work we do for access with democracy, we can talk about say we forget impartial administration, especially with the fight against corruption. We want to see predictability in the fight. Not to say you go begin ask question, this the work, this not the work. You want to see if something starts, there is a logical conclusion to it. So we NCD talk about predictability in the enforcement of corruption laws. So if we start something, when we take them to the logical conclusion, because all of this gets impact on democracy.
Okay.
Yes. So now that comment there, one quick comment I'm going to make.
In fact, a very good comment when you talk about predictability. I just remember the presentations we did yesterday in NCD during the roundtable discussion. You know, before looking at the sanctions or penalties of any trade, at least you don't be taken to surprise. See, you know. So at least when you do something, you know, see this will be the outcome. But Barrister, they try to talk about peace, or we try to explain or give clear explanation of what really peace mean. You meet Reverend just they make some clarifications on that, and I think he meets up the last part of the analysis where each effort service say really in a society it just natural say you do get competition in the society. It just natural say you must get dissenting views, opposing views, sorry. And but even with all of that, you know, you also need to move on without, without fear. You know, you get for move on, do your things peacefully. When you need to get, problem just because of your position, or just because of your belief, or just because of your ideas. And I make a come to you. What's really you go be your own analysis, or what's your view about what's in the really pieces?
Reverend already don't make a very good analysis, and I want to come from one point where he make. Reverend say peace, not to the absence of war.
Okay.
Peace, not to the absence of war. Peace gets for do with a lot of other things, where in fact they can even maybe more serious than war. And sometimes war now the end now. What you say the ultimate, the last thing. But peace get for do with, for example, survival. How people they meet their needs. How people they get things for eat. Then get place for lay down. Let me just give you an example. You see what's in the happen in our country right now for land matter, land issues. Land. Quite recently I read the Ministry of Lands. They say then they try to put some things together so that we will begin register title. Without one they know they happen in this country for register title to land.
Okay.
That kind of issue there for property. We don't see all sort of things. We don't see suicide and don't kill people them. We don't see threats in our community. We don't see cutlass, police case and all. So peace gets a lot for do. We also get to talking call the political peace. Yes. That's what we call political peace. When they say term for election, is a FIBA normal term or a FIBA like we wording. All of them thing and they how we police the country. Then they do like professionals. We continue for the lost salon people them where something they be, how police they handle the situation. Now all them things are put together. Now they describe waiting a peace. So not just because one or the other, but how the man they survive. Nowadays with the yeri, how armed robbery they go up in the increase. We society is safe. We communities then safe. We don't begin reach to that time where vigilantes then go begin come on down and then community say well they protect we say. So now then they are all put together. So peace that like we say na holistic thing.
Okay.
It's not abstract. It depends, it's a collection of this all put together. Then you say peace. And that make the aspect of relative peace come up. Because they reach point where you begin look certain things and say, no waiting. It's like this person in get them here, but he lack this one, lack this one, lack this one. So then peace now became relative. Say, well, it's like say this in better pass this and this. So it's not too easy for describe peace just like that. It depends on so many variables, so many factors. And in we country, of course, we see them. You know, we see them. We see political tension. For example, election London 2 years, some months ago. But we still see some then kind thing and they. Yeah? So the situations and they for me. So peace not to just merely the absence of war. Waiting somebody they survive. You know, all that one day they add to the peace. How we live, neighbors. How we able for settle land dispute. How comes two people they register one land. This get paper, this get paper. All of them things and they talk about waiting peace be.
Thank you very much. And from what you say, it's like a continuous process. Now something we get for, something to one day business. Now a process because issues they come up every day, and you get for always put measures in place for address the issues, so that we will get a society where do things without fear, say they will come attack, or without fear, say because of this that they happen. Thank you very much, Reverend. Make a come back to you. We focus now on peace and democracy. We just don't like give a thorough analysis of what's really peace mean. And now let me look now at democracy. You know, say we they operate a democratic system of governance in our country based on the constitution, because now that's not the provision of the constitution that and they determine what's we follow and how for run the system the government. So we system a democratic system. Now, just I know we don't talk about this several times, but enough for the time we talk about some. What's it really when you talk about democracy? What's it really you mean, or what's it we mean?
So you plenty thank you, because you see, education I think we're not the end. I cannot talk the same thing this moment. I need for talk and back again. So this kind of they supposed for continue. Democracy they mean different things to different people. But essentially the one that we don't do some research and find out and don't make we come to understand say democracy and that kind of government will give people power. Now people in there before. So but because all man are going for sit down in one place for talk about how they for run their affairs, even within the context of a locality or community, not talk about the nation as a whole, then go get people who then go choose for themselves, say like go represent we, go talk on we behalf, go do this for we. So we talk about democracy from the perspective of it being indirect or representative. Okay. But there was a time when it was direct, but bottom line, it puts the people in at the forefront. It makes people then become what you call the sovereign of the state. Now then they determine everything. So now that make the famous definition we get from Abraham Lincoln around 1863, we talked to the people of America and Gettysburg. He tell them, say, now government of the people, by the people and for the people. Hallelujah. Now the people government. So if you take different constitutions around the world, where they say then they practice democracy, including Sierra Leone, you will see in section 4 and 5, for instance, it will tell you say the people then central for make government get power. Now from the people, the government of the day they derive their authority. So in other words, the democracy, whoever they in charge, get for be accountable to the people, following what you call due process. And the one that way don't study this thing properly, then don't give we yardstick how for measure the democracy. Like Fallenberg, in look at them from 4 levels in terms of consolidation. We talk about institutional consolidation, so he emphasized the provisions of the constitution. They talk about representative consolidation, which I mentioned the role of political parties and non-state actors or interest groups. They talk about behavioral consolidation. All of it now a way for make we understand democracy how they work and how for assessor. With the behavioral aspect, we honestly I want to make Sierra Leoneans pay attention to it. And that thing where we focus attention and say the forces, people that will get raw power, then they under civilian control. They don't just do things anyhow. Will go be inimical to the furtherance of the interest of the state. And then you come in with the role of multinationals. How do they behave? Because we don't witness in the country who say people they tell you say this change in what happened, it was influenced by the one that we get couple, superpowers, the multinationals. And we also talk about radical movement. Then for able put their activities under control based on the law. Now in behavioral consolidation of democracy they look at. But then we get a 4th level where we talk about civic, democratic or political culture, where they focus attention on people and disposition within the context of this democracy. Well, other people then don't look at yardstick for measure this democracy. They go for understand them. One of one the other people them put certain criteria. Number one, and talk about representative government. Whether they look at elected government, clean election, inclusive suffrage, free political parties. Then the second element, talk about fundamental rights. Also, they look at access to justice, civil liberties, gender equality, social group equality, and basic welfare. Then the third aspect in this second category, look at, they talk about checks on government. Also, you get an effective parliament, judicial independence, you get media integrity. Then we also talk about the fourth element under this second category. They talk about impartial administration. We say they focus attention on the absence of corruption and predictable enforcement. So we talk about this now, where barrister and Carl put in peak. Then the fifth element, now participatory engagement. We say you look at the operations of civil society, electoral participation, direct democracy and local democracy, how they operate within communities and within groups. These are all the things we talk about. We'll consider with democracy. But bottom line, even as we think about assessing with democracy very well, we for no say everything it entail, the people are sovereign. They are paramount, and then the foundation of everything, now the be all and end of it all. Would I ever get power? It gets unto the people. And would I ever exercise power? It get for exercise them based on the wishes and aspirations of the people. And at the end of the day, it will also be accountable to the people.
Okay, that is a very good analysis. Honestly, like from all what you try for saying that the people are central and the people are the most powerful element of the system when you talk about democracy. If at all the people are really conscious of the reality of their position, of their situation, of their strength in the society, I believe say that in itself will help promote we get good leadership in any country. If you know say yes indeed I get a role for play, or maybe this country before, based on me, my decision when it comes to governance issues, starting from elections to you name it. Charlie, what do you go say about all what the Reverend just don't say so looking at? Because honestly, Reverend like touch almost every side, you know. Yes. But like what's going to be your take on this? What's really a democracy?
Yes, actually Reverend don't deliver, like what you would say, a public lecture. Yes, on the topic, just from this analysis we give. What you go find out from the analysis now that what you have they describe now a system of government.
Okay.
A system of government. Now this system of government, it gets principles the way they guide them, where they make it work fine. You know, I listened to somebody one day, he said there is no perfect system.
No.
There is no perfect system. So democracy, dictatorship, or what you go call communism and all of the one and they all get the good side and bad side. But we in Sierra Leone don't accept say democracy better relatively if you compare. Not so. But this is a system of government. Now there is also a discussion about whether now governments they create constitution or now constitution creates government. Which one is the creature the creator of the other? But from the legal perspective, government is the creature of the constitution. Now constitution creates government.
Okay.
So therefore, constitution will create government. Constitution also don't lay down how government for work. Waiting. The issue we get for with administration. In democracy also, this issue of governance gets administration. So the constitution also they suggest. If you look at the constitution, for example, now I tell you say there shall be the president.
Okay.
Now the same constitution say there shall be a vice president. So the constitution then creates government. That is what the legal perspective. So now see, if government democracy for BWTB, then that constitutionality, the rule of law, is so paramount. Because when once that one day we're not able to handle properly, then the system not the work. The system will fail. The system will fail. It will fail. Because everything is guided. Everything is guided. make I just use this line of thought and ask a question, thought-provoking question. We dey hear about say commission of inquiry don't conclude, we don't see government white paper. My question, or I ask you, has the government fulfilled section 149 subsection 2? That's a question. It say after a commission of inquiry done, 6 months after, the president will publish the report of the commissions together with the white paper. So my question to Salion, is this the case? So, for let democracy work, constitutionality is paramount, is key. Because when you guide the system, if it fails, the system will fail. The entire system will fail. So the rule of law, constitutionality, is so key. And the congregating reverend say, he talk about the levels. Each of those levels, law provide for her. And it will work accordingly. For example, a reverend talk about elections, representative aspect. The constitution don't provide for that. The constitution say we go get election, for example, for presidency after every 5 years. Not so, and even give qualification of who that go contest and all. So we not forget constitutionality if democracy for work. So for me, that is the major thing. That is where I will anchor this whole thing about peace and democracy, constitutionality, because if a system is not guided, nothing not the way they protect them, where they make sure say it happen how it say in a book, then there is no system.
Okay. Thank you very much, Barrister, for that powerful analysis. I like that's how you say governments are a creature of the constitution. So which means that the constitution creates the government.
Right.
So and you also further lay emphasis on the need for uphold the rule of law, because you literally say if we now really follow the person remedies due process, then we will get discouraged in almost everything we do. So I feel say that one again really very important, because like we'll see Reverend talk about institutions, you talk about the law, but when you look at all of that, you realize say if we get things in the right, then the issue of predictability, wherever we talk about, it will be very clear, because say when this happens, so things will happen. When this, because it is all laid down. I believe say that's again really very good. I believe say whoever they listen maybe would they learn a lot, because honestly once we manifest itself now so strongly now that we really try for this awareness on the constitution, because almost all those that you say so right now some people need for knowing this part of our laws. Make I just remind family with the listen to the program where they listen to. Now NCD HOUR where they come to you courtesy of the National Commission for Democracy. And today we talk about the relationship between peace and democracy. And with me in the studio I get the Public Relations Director, the Public Relations and Communications Director of the National Commission for Democracy, Reverend Jibril Akagbo. I get Barrister and Solicitor Charlie Israel Williams, an activist, and we will bring the program to Ibrahim Sirajubab. Then we will continue with the discussions. Now, Reverend, let me take them further. Now let's now go to analyzing the nexus between them two tiers which I have analyzed. So we don't talk about peace. We don't give a clear description or explanation of what in peace is. We don't give a comprehensive analysis of what in democracy is. Now, let me try to see how we connect the two, how these two connected.
Okay, before I go to the nexus, because I look at the nexus between peace and democracy from a particular perspective, but I only mention a perspective. I just want for buttress a few points, clarify something. Of course, Barrister was not here when I delivered my peak. I was talking about the COI, and I quoted, in fact, me quote the entire section 149, all the 4 subsections. I read through everything, word for word from the Constitution, and interestingly, that is part of the work of NCD, for raise awareness on the principles and objectives of the Constitution. And one second aspect, the way most of the time, the people, the way people they misunderstand the work of NCD. The mandate we say is for educate and encourage the people for defend the Constitution against all forms of abuse and violation. And they clear one. If not they say alone we na NCD just do, then we don't put we na a pedestal. We go make we attract different sentiments from all sides. And now we can try for those people can ask you questions. Say, who's on a day? We're not supposed for the inside. We're supposed for work for Mama Salon. Now Salon now we put number one, even as we carry out within government give you as a mandate. So it's good for make everybody, you were the inside government, you were the outside government, make you for understand the mandate where government give you as an institution. Say we for able for educate and encourage the public for defend the Constitution against all forms of abuse. So when we can come, we point out things. Of course, people will say, how do we defend the Constitution? We not ask people for defend the Constitution through violent means. Okay. We ask people for defend the Constitution based on what in the law say. For instance, if something come out in the governance of the state where you're not satisfied with, use the due process, legal means. Remember when we talk about democracy, we say part of the thing they will use for access to democracy, that's also we look at the availability of what we call fundamental rights. And on that day we talk about access to justice and the availability of upholding or recognizing civil liberties. So all of them things also they point out to one thing. We not expect anybody for take up arms for defend the Constitution. We expect everybody for follow the due process. The legal means available within the context of the state where democracy provide for, where the Constitution approve, we could follow them process then they for contest anything we're not satisfied with. Okay. Of course, we are part of the society. We know what's in the go on. We read comments from left, right, and center. But we in our NCD they continue for say, if you feel aggrieved, you think say the Constitution has not been handled properly, it has been bastardized, whatever it is. You think say there is violation, we still go appeal to you say follow the due process. We don't want anything that will affect the peace and quiet of this country. We want for push the country before ensure say at the end of the day we are considered at least a middle level income country. These are all things that will paramount. But I come back out to your question for make you we see a nexus between peace and democracy. You see, there is this question about the egg and the chicken. Which one comes first? That is always the case when we talk about peace and democracy. But we have to look at them within the context of what we call human security. Okay. And here you see the clear nexus or the connection between democracy and peace. As mortal man, when we look at the Constitution, it gives you what we call human rights and fundamental freedoms. We are able to enjoy them things than they. In fact, now we talk about the human security. Are for able to get access to certain things in life, call them opportunities, we can put them within the context of civil and political rights. We can also put them within the context of economic, social, and cultural rights. Okay. All of them things then they, as a mortal man, within the context of the states, even those who are stateless, because it's interesting for making say, even within the context of globalization, there are still people who are stateless. Okay. But even within that, we suppose for enjoy what we call human security. And democracy provides the atmosphere for that. But at the same time, it is the atmosphere generated by peace that ensures you benefit from those democratic rights that the Constitution recognizes and says they're supposed to give every citizen of this country or everybody where they reside now, so anywhere, any part of the world is supposed to enjoy them things that day. So within the context of human security, me to see a nexus between peace and democracy. You know, in democracy, we talk about the dividends of democracy. One of such dividends is peace. And overall, ultimate development, we'll say the product of democracy, you practice democracy. What's the end goal? What's the end result? We want to see peace and development. And at the same time, peace they create the atmosphere for where democracy thrive. And if democracy not there, peace will be challenged. If peace not there, democracy will be challenged. And who are in the middle of it all? It's the people. It's the security of the human being guaranteed. Now we'll talk about security of the human being. It is not just about the physical protection. It's also about what the human being can feed on. In other words, having rights, enjoying the rights, even though each time we talk about rights, we always talk about corresponding responsibilities. But within the context of human security, the person for able, they are in oaths, nobody no harass them. As long as you're within the law, at the same time you're able to enjoy benefits where the state they provide. Now that kind of thing they will look at. And we see a nexus between peace and democracy where they emphasize the issue of human security. Not a man for be protected. In development for be guaranteed. People not for live in squalor anymore. When we talk about human security. You see? And well, of course, I cannot talk about human security without talking about democratic security. You see, there is a vast difference between democratic security and hard security. Also, you go see with soldier man them, with police, and then I treat their own weapon, they say they protect the state. You go see armored tank. No, that is hard security. But we look at it from the context of democratic security, who say the peace and collapse of the Motamani are assured based on laws.
Okay.
Anyway. Make a hold on that. I'm not the only person there.
Thank you very much. That is a very good analysis. You in fact you center your analysis on human security, even though later you bring in democratic security. But I'm going for digest. But I think I don't say something because we go still talk about them anyway. But like you say, you emphasize say even we are or people and we get stateless status supposed to enjoy human security. And you also talk about democratic security wherein not so that kind of democracy so like weapons or soldier man but like so you go enjoy democratic rights and you free say yes this me rights I go enjoy fully I know get threats from anywhere. Obviously that's the way the listeners go like understand because for me some of the things we they discuss even if not digested the person where listen said they give them a serious thought. You know, you get them to sit down and ponder what some of the issues that maybe there is and see how much it will contribute to make the democracy thrive. Ambassador, make I come over to you. Reverend just gave an analysis of the connection between peace and security. And you're not a legal person. I don't say most times so you can come in, you better focus on the legal aspects. But like what's not your own focus or what's not your own take on this?
Okay, remember say the opposite of peace are war.
Okay.
Not so? Yes. So democracy to me for ensure that if it happen, how it will happen and everything go on well, for ensure say peace day. Democracy as a system of government, if you work well, it will ensure say peace day. When democracy fails, then the tendency for make the peace or the peaceful atmosphere self vacate, it disappear, and then you get a situation of chaos. It also possible. So see, there is this German military theorist who will say is Karl von Clausewitz. Karl say, he say war. If they subscribe to this theory, we say war is an extension of politics. Remember, in democracy, we talk about politics, not also the aspect of political democracy where you get how people they come into power and how them will come out and all that kind of thing. So this man they subscribe to this view, say war is an extension of politics. In fact, in own definition, he say, war is the continuation of politics by other means. War is the continuation of politics by other means. So if they find out, say, when people begin for circumvent democracy, then it create room for these kind of things. For example, elections, now a very critical thing in a democracy. But when it reach point where elections cannot be trusted anymore, where the person they say, I don't go vote no more, but this one, not a way to go vote to go see, those things they undermine. They undermine democracy, and also they undermine the peace where democracy they ensure or talk about. The peace where democracy wants to deliver, when the system they fail, they undermine them. And so they find out this situation of peace and war, as we look at democracy, it go appear like say, once like we get two faces of a coin, one side in a peace, the other side in a war. When it goes well, democracy, the system, constitution guide them, and everything happen as if it happen, then you can see the side where they show you peace. But when it fails, when it happens the other way, you go see the other side where they show you war. So for me, democracy for ensure peace. Yes, it for ensure peace. Because remember from the background where Reverend come out, Reverend say, the sovereign, then they get this power from the people. And in fact, he says sovereignty belongs to the people, not so. But if you begin for, I remember when you said they ask, you say the people then are the center. In a democracy, the people are the center. But if the people, it tell like say, they're not waiting they happen, they're not a part of waiting they happen, they're not they enjoy waiting they happen, that system they don't fail. And in order to ensure waiting democracy what for deliver. So for me, that is how I look at it. In fact, interestingly, at least I follow US news this week. And one senior politician at US, he said, in fact, but this don't mean anything because I think they elect Trump, right? But he said something. He said, the election where America gets so now, it is not Donald Trump versus Biden. He said it is Donald Trump versus democracy. You understand? So for me, democracy is for ensure, say the citizens, the people who don't decide for surrender their sovereignty, they enjoy, they benefit, their life good. If it shows otherwise, it's a failed system and it gets implications.
Okay. You make mention of something really very interesting. You talk about the trust two people have forget in the system, let me say in institutions, because now the institutions get for deals with people directly, and it's only when they get trust in those institutions and then we believe, see, if I come to issues down, so it will be addressed, and it will be addressed in a way I will satisfy. I feel say these are some of the issues that we don't get, where I feel say make a bring in Reverend, where I feel say Reverend they work for the National Commission for Democracy, like they say, the commission gets a lot for do, honestly, because the commission really, they do a work, we get something for do with reorientating the minds of the people, so that themselves will really understand what's in and what's in for do, for making democracy, and in fact, for even help for build trust, you know, in the people about the institutions, though it gets, you know, other things we also for contribute to that, Reverend. Really, because we not get enough time, only them one knowledge for zeroing on really what's in this commission they do really for ensure say people really understand what in democracy they about and what's in how much role democracy gets for make sure so we get peace, and we also get the kind of development, because now only when you get the democracy work well, the systems then work well, we get peace, we get able for like possible development activities in the country. What is really NCD they do?
Definitely, you point to you raise is very vital, and at NCD, part of what we do so now the work we do for raise awareness.
Okay.
Bring out to the public, people will understand. But where awareness is in a focused attention on the Constitution. And the Constitution very paramount because you're writing barrister stages now. You say the government's the creation of the constitution. And whilst in the talk, I remember the arguments between where a political scientist don't put forward say politics and the precede legality. It is about the interaction of the people within the context of the state in terms of what the people want. Now eventually they go to the constitution. So you see, it is the interaction that determines what is contained in the legal document. We experience over time wishes and aspirations and everything. We in NCD, we always raise awareness on such things. Of course, recently we're all over the place in different town halls across the country for raise awareness on these issues, for make everybody understand, say, we get rights and responsibilities. And when we do everything properly within the constitution, we go for push we country go before. Remember, I don't start this argument about human security. Where I say that the connection between peace and democracy, we will try for promote, because we work for promote democratic government, because we know say who say we able for promote democracy, they put at the forefront the rights and responsibility of the people. And then things have to take they come into the picture. We go see people enjoy what you call freedom from fear, freedom from conflict, violence, crime. We imply peace. But who say then freedom they know they? It tamper with the peace of the community. And we in NCD say no, within the constitution say for try for make available to people. Again, bringing in this human security argument, we say people supposed to get freedom from want. Poverty enough for day, like we get sickness so enough for day, for avoid environmental degradation. So all of that is development. You see, peace, development. They want to talk about freedom from indignity. Okay. Yeah, inside the human rights issue come inside. So you see, all of it gets something to do with waiting peace and democracy. Because now democracy, now they give them freedom and day. Then freedom then day, nine the amount to peace. If you don't get them, it means say, even as an individual, you don't get peace. But we in the NCD they say the constitution don't make available then rights here so, then freedoms here so, and the responsibility make we ensure say in whatever institution we say we serve, whatever role we get for play for fulfill the requirements of the constitution, let us do our best for ensure say we give them to the people there. Because at the end of the day, when democracy work, peace go there. When democracy work, development go there. When democracy work, people then go enjoy their human rights. And that go mean society will continue to thrive. But who say you get a breakdown of all of that, it go turn everything upside down and it go affect how we develop. But we in our NCD, we want to see a Sierra Leone way far developed than it is right now. At least we want for able to attain a middle level income status in the not too distant future.
Okay.
Well,
thank you very much, Reverend. In fact, time don't catch me. Now so we go end the program. Just want to remind families, say the program will be listened to. Now NCD HOUR will come to them courtesy of the National Commission for Democracy, and we'll be the try for discuss the relationship between peace and democracy. And it's me in the studio. I've been guest with PR and Communications Director of the National Commission for Democracy, Reverend Jibrila Kagbo, and Barrister and Solicitor Charlie Israel Williams. And we will bring the program to you, Mina Ibrahim Surajuba. Thank you very much for what you doing with this program, and we also encourage you say make yourself try to do your best and make sure say whatever you for do for make the democracy go before and we get peace of this country. Please make sure say you do and encourage you just to do this. Thank you so much and may God bless you.
National Commission for Democracy. Now salon so we the top of positive participation in governance. National Commission